Well, first, why don't you say who you are and what you do?
Rex Miller. I provide adult supervision for leaders who need to get along better.
Nice. And you also host a podcast.
Host a podcast, yeah. And I'm a futurist that does research in a crowd-sourced approach called Mindshift. So we tackle what we call wicked problems, things that have been stuck. And so we bring cross disciplines together to do that. And I have a software company called Genius Spark.
Love it. You're doing a few things.
And a new book coming out in maybe first of the year.
Awesome. Well, WorkSpaces has asked you back.
Yeah.
So you must be doing something right. But today you scrapped your presentation, right?
Yes.
And you just shot from the hip?
Well, not completely from the hip. I'd thought about it a good bit. And I felt like so this is the benefit of watching others go first. And I saw, 20 minutes, and no one would remember the slide deck or what I talked about. And I really wanted to get one key message across. That's what I focused on, was the empathy is the key part that allows us to work well together, and we're losing it big time.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the cues you're picking up on that says, hey, empathy's at risk here?
Research. So from 79 to 2009, they started measuring empathy in college students. And there was a 40% drop from 1979 to 2009.
Wow.
And you start seeing during the pandemic, compassion fatigue. You know, when you wake up and you just don't have any gas and somebody has, they really want to pour their heart out or talk to you, you just can't do it. You have no empathy. And what empathy is, it's that mirror neuron that allows me to experience what you're experiencing. That's what that laughing thing was about. It's just give a demonstration of your ability to experience what someone else is experiencing. He was laughing, you experience that. That's empathy, but it's the number one capability of getting along with others, suspending your judgment, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, listening, all of that stuff. So when you look at what's happening in society and all the things working, we couldn't have engineered a better situation to tear down empathy, to remove reflective thinking, and to destroy mental health. We've engineered this system. And the reason why it's not responding to anybody's, interventions, let's try this to get people back. Let's do popcorn day. Let's rearrange the furniture. Let's make it feel like a hotel. Let's send them get well cards. Let's give them a PTO. All this stuff. That's like rearranging chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, I mean, we're not addressing the real problem.
No, the real problem is people are hurting. People have this visceral remembrance of how evil the workplace is. We wrote a book on it, right? The Healthy Workplace Nudge. Why wellness programs don't work and why the workplace sucks. And we didn't quite say it that way, but that's pretty much what it was. And so it's like we're distracting ourselves thinking that a new way to rearrange the furniture is somehow going to make you feel better about the place, where you go home at night and you binge watch Netflix because you're just so done with it, or the pressure. And the person who gave a presentation earlier was talking about managers in the pinch point. Mm-hmm. What I hate about surveys is it tells you what, but it doesn't tell you why. And the why is that they're being required to be coaches, life coaches, in the middle. So they have the business demands, and then they got the demands. And Gallup is very clear that only 18% of managers even have the capacity to be those coaches. Now, it doesn't mean you can't learn how to do it, I mean, look at me.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those nurturing instincts in me.
Oh, I don't know about that, Rex.
And we've got psychometrics to prove that.
Yeah.
And you got my family that will validate those psychometrics. But you can learn it. And so if I were going to work on one area of companies, I would pour my effort into managers. I would get, like they're doing in schools, where they have schools in marginal communities, at-risk communities. There's a whole training around what's called social and emotional literacy. And so social and emotional literacy is knowing that you have to regulate the body, the emotional state of the body, to get anything into the brain. And for some reason, schools are ahead of us there, and workplaces ahead of schools in terms of culture. But that's where we're at. We're at that very basic level of how do I regulate your stress, help you regulate your stress so you can focus. If you're stressed, you're not going to focus on work.
Yeah.
And how do I get you into a trust emotion? That's serotonin to do that. So we got to have a quality conversation. So a meeting can't start with, okay, here's the agenda, let's go into it. It's all stress. And now I got to perform. So that's why little kids in schools, the smart schools, they start with a social circle.
Yeah.
So Doug, you and I would shake hands and greet. My name is Rex Miller, and you'd say, my name is Doug Shapiro. It's good to have you here today. And everyone would practice that in a big circle. So circle communicates, we're all equal here. And then we'd break into little 3-person groups. And maybe the 3-person group in the work scenario would be a little opening question about us, that we learn something about each other, then we share out.
Yeah.
What was your favorite meal growing up as a kid, and who prepared it? And then we kind of open up with not everybody sharing, but set the tone, the emotional tone, so that we can do cognitive work.
Yeah. You mentioned a specific animal in your presentation that evokes a feeling that you want the workplace to evoke. I thought that was brilliant because I felt it, right? The dog.
The dog, yeah. Yeah, because that dog doesn't require anything from you, and it's all giving. So that lowers stress. That's why they have, service dogs. My daughter has a service dog because she's on the autism spectrum, easily overstimulated, stressed out, and the dog naturally lowers that heart rate. And when your heart rate lowers, you can shift from being in the on mode, which is that sympathetic nervous system, into a more rest recovery mode, which is parasympathetic. We need to know how people function just during the day and design the days and design our management. It's not difficult to do. We know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this notion. Like, I feel like there's an article coming from you. What can our workplaces learn from, our human's favorite animal? I think there's a lot we could learn from a dog.
Now, if you ask my wife, that's not her favorite animal.
Oh, okay.
Because at the end of the life, they were high maintenance. And
well,
so
I think we all are.
Yeah.
you know?
True. Yeah. But we went through a lot of that. Yeah.
There was a comment around deep work that you made.
Right.
So what's the difference between deep work and shallow work, and what's at risk here?
Well, deep work is where we're dealing with complex problems, relational issues, dilemmas, all of that. You need uninterrupted time to get into a form of breakthrough thinking. And that's what deep work, a writer or a musician, a doctor really thinking about someone holistically, not just the symptoms. So the shallow work is just checking things off the list, task-oriented, technical solutions. I need to change a light bulb out. What wattage do I need? That's all shallow work. And so to get into that deeper mode, we have to get into maybe not a full flow state, but we have to get into a state where all of a sudden the peripheral vision is gone and you just start zeroing in, just dialing in. I can even feel the stress leave and all of a sudden just go into this zone. And it's important for mental health.
Yeah.
A craft worker gets into the zone. An artist gets into the zone where they just get lost in the work. And that's actually building up the healthy parts of your brain and releasing all these positive chemicals like dopamine and endorphins, serotonin, and it's just a wonderful place to try to live.
I love
But
it.
we don't get to live there in the workplace. Jason Fried with 33 Signals Basecamp wrote a great book called Rework. And he said basically the day is like being in a Cuisinart in terms of shredding our time all through the day. We just don't have any time to pause, to think, and even meetings, back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
You've got a 10 to 15 minute residual before the last meeting gets out of your emotional system, before you can engage in the next one. And what happens is you wash out all the memory of the last one because there was no time to let your brain process, synthesize, take it in. So we're just going, it's ping pong, bing, 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 bing. And you feel it with the anxiety.
Yeah. I absolutely do. I think so many people listening are going to relate to that. So you're telling us right now, no more back-to-backs.
No.
We need to stop
No
that.
back-to-backs.
Wow.
Yeah. Say no to back-to-backs. I'm going to start a campaign.
You need to.
Just say no to back-to-backs. Let's create a button. Okay?
Let's create a button.
You guys are the marketing experts. You create the button. And we'll go around. Just say no to back-to-backs.
I love it. Well, thanks, Rex. I appreciate you joining.
Yeah,
it was great to hear
it's
you
fun.
speak.
Okay. Take care.